A stroll by the palace of the Emir of Fika, paraphernalia of royalty dots its walls. A step into the inner chamber of the palace, a date with the crafty hands of traditional architecture. Royal hills and praises escorts His Majesty Muhammad Abali ibn Idrisa, the Emir of Fika. His sitting curtained by the garment of the palace hands. When the garments gave way, an articulated description of the paths forefathers of the Emir took to preserve people, culture, and values of the Bolawa.
The Bolewa came from Yemen in the Middle East with other groups who migrated in that era around the 15th century, going westwards towards the Lake Chad shore. The migration took place with about 35 groups, who are mostly known as the Kanuris, Jukun, Igala, and so a host of others who are spread all over northern Nigeria. So we migrated to the shores of Lake Chad. So along the line, due to some squabbles and disagreements on hunting, some stopped by princes. Always you'll have conflict over leadership. So along the line, the main Bolawa group went eastwards, looking for grazing and a place to settle down. So eventually they arrived the Daniski Hills. Due to strategic and tactical reasons, at that time there was open warfare and you have to settle in an area where you can defend. So they found the Daniski Hills was a good habitation and defense-wise they could settle down. They met the original settlers, the Gamo were there. They settled together. There are two hills, the Daniski and the Gamo Hill on the other side. The Bolewa since Yemen they came, they had an established administrative structure which comprised the Emir, and then you had the Tinjahuya, Chiroma, Tamana, and our own cultural, the Tambal, which is the symbol of the authority of the Emir. Since that time we came with it. We're still here, but so we settled at Daniski for some time. We had about 6 emirs who ruled, and then towards the ground level you had where the crown prince had his abode. He can't join his father there. So we had about 6, I think, emirs at Daniski. After some time, they came down to the present Fika, which they call it Lafia Moi, meaning King's Peace.
The piece of history atop a mountain kilometers away from Patiskum. We drove through the thick, thin to discover the hidden secrets of the people which lies on top of the Daniski mountain. A historic village where the custodian of the mountain lived was our first stop, and one of my favorite lunch was in the offing. With lunch in hand, I walked to the local chief's house, being nosy in every move. With a number of guides, we rode a rough ride in between the winnowing of grains, then through a dry waterway. The calmness of the villages on our trail. We met the curious, protective and jealous. At the base of the Daniski mountain, the lenses of our camera tries a 360 view, but failed shut. There, we saw nature in a natural setting. Before going up the mountain, a unique piece of history at the base of the mountain was eye-catching. A sign gave a clue. The ruins of a 17th century home of a prince of the empire.
Bani Moy Adam Bakam
just as you've seen it, has been built for the son of the emir who rules the people of Daniski up in the mountain. And whoever is the emir at Daniski, one of his sons who the gods have chosen to succeed the emir, because in Daniski we have a process of choosing a successor to the throne. There are some 7 stones which are scared, and when these stones are put together, the successor sat on them without any sign of shaking. Then it is proven that the person will succeed the emir. So from that time, that particular son of the emir leaves the top of the mountain. He won't live in the same house with the emir. He will then be escorted to the base of the mountain where he lives in the prince's house until the passing of the emir. Then he will be crowned.
Sai zanna zuwa lokacin da mahaifinsa ya rasu, sannan aka je aka bashi sarauta. So shine muke kiran wannan wuri Bani Moy Adam Bakam.
The materials used in building these pieces of art could be the secret of its resilience to the wrath of the weather. Guess what? The well used by the home of the prince still contains water, though it's overtaken by weeds. I'm not a prince being cooked for the throne, so I stepped after my guides towards the peak of the Daniski mountain.
Climbing the Gushe Daniski, that means the rock of Daniski, the Bolawa people, is a unique experience here. It's somehow rocky on the way climbing up through trees and shrubs and getting up there to discover the treasure that has been kept for ages here for the Bolawa people.
After a while, the going gets tough.
Halfway here we come, and it is the toughest part of climbing the Daniski mountain. With my cap in hand and the fact that even my guides are sitting down to rest tells you that it is actually the toughest part of this climb. But we won't give up. We are going up there to discover once again the treasure of the people of Bolawa.
In less than an hour, we were up the mountain and getting the aerial view of the treasured flat and vast land on top the mountain was a revelation. We left the eagle eye above our heads and stepped on the path of history.
Our first point of call on the route of discovering the heritage of the Bolawa people on the mountain of Daniski was the ruins of the Emir's palace, which is known in their local dialect as Bani Moi. And then moving on into what used to be the palace where about 22 emirs rule this kingdom until the last one, Ibrahim, who descended with his people to continue ruling the kingdom in Fika.
And before us was our first discovery.
As at the time they were living, I mean our parents, in old Daniski on top of the mountain, I wasn't born. But when they all came down, I was born in Daniski, the mountain base before we finally moved to Ganji, where we live now. We heard from our elders that I was a baby when we left. There are things I still remember, like the huts, the signs of a forgotten city, the date palm trees, and a well for fetching water. We used to go back to the old city and play as children. Now it's all in the past.
Choosing atop the mountain for the people of Bolawa was in the footsteps of the Ethiopian Empire, which stood tall against the Italians.
But because he wants to preserve the little people he has, then he climbed up, dig trenches all along to preserve. Then they settled in Daniski. From Daniski, staying here, like you heard, up to 22 tombs of our great emirs buried off there. Then later they discovered a place called Fika. Then he descended under the rulership of Ibrahim Dazara, Mo Ibrahim. He descended here, traveling, start looking for a little bit, you know, the war started easing up. Then he settled in Fika. They call it Lafia Moi, mean there is peace there, Lafia Moi. So he settled down around 1802. And right from there, the settlement in Fika started. And later, they are staying, we have up to 6 or 7 tombs of also emirs in Fika. They are labeled from so time to so time. It's there in Fika. Then from there, the white man discovered that this set of people, they have organization. They have all that is needed to be as a people. Then he said, okay, this emir is supposed to go and link up the trade something, popularly Kano, Borno route, trade route. Then he said it is better the emir moves from Portusco to Fika, why he is now settled up to this moment. Moi Mamadi went there, then there Moi Abari started, and then from there the president Moi Muhammad Ibn Abali Muhammad Idris. Presently we are now in Portusco.
MashaAllah. So Now, how important or how strategic is this place?
This place, because you say history. People without history, you are nothing. So if history is to go by, there is no Bolawa man on earth that will beat his chest and narrate his history without referring to Daniski. So Daniski is as important as everything. If you start giving history of Bolawa man on the earth, this Daniski is the beginning. So, and our history started there. Everything you need about the history of Bolawa is up there. Like he said before, not like now. If an emir passes up, you know, you have to look for kingmakers, the traditional kingmakers. But before then, here, like he said, if you go up there, there is stones, 7 of them, that if you are a potential emir, you will be able to go and sit down, relax and everything. People will know that, yeah, this one is a heir to the throne. But if you cannot, there is no way you cannot even attempt to. And so yes, our history started all from here, as far as Bolawa race is concerned.
Kafin masu hau sama sun biyo garuruka daban-daban musamman hannun kudu.
Before they even climbed up the mountain, they passed through plenty villages, especially the south, like Biu in Borno State and Gombe, somewhere in Nafada. The first emir of Daniski is Emir Idris Atuman. He was said to have left a place called Lariski, from the mountain of Lariski to the mountain of Daniski. But there are various other places that they passed through as a people before they reached the Chad Basin. In fact, about 16 places where they stayed, in some places for years, and in others, months. But the first emir that starts to climb up mountains for safety is Emir Idris. He left Lariski to Daniski. After 7 years, he died. For us, this place is very important, especially now that the Emir of Fika is standing still to revive the history of Daniski. Some of his great-grandfathers are still buried at the mountaintop graveyard, about 22 emirs so far. So he is so committed to making the Daniski mountain a tourist place, and he has encouraged us to take intense interest. And we are happy about what he's doing. We give glory to God. We are looking forward to be listed in the books of history. And we are praying that those responsible will put us through. We crisscrossed the ruins of the empire. Silos with inscription only the wise can comprehend, and the Emirate Jumad Masjid not standing, but the heap of sand present a heap of history.
Descending from the top of the heap of particles that have formed the ruins of the only Jumad mosque that stood here on top of the Daniski mountain for centuries. I've not been to other places like their own Jinri, the graveyard that still holds the bodies of a number of emirs that have ruled this kingdom. I come to finally understand, I also agree, the fact that these people have held on to Islam as their major religion.
For hundreds of years, the people of Bir Daniski have lived high above the enemy on top of the mountain. And behind they left a treasure that is jealously protected by the Fika Emirate. When we began to descend the mountain, my thoughts went to the pyramids of Giza in Egypt.
My final steps from the top of the Daniski mountain, the home of the Bolawas. What I saw there and I left was a trinket containing a lot of huge cultural values that no amount can buy. If you ask me whether I want to go back there once more, I'll tell you with the loudest voice that I will.
What have they done to attract and keep tourists? Wondering if that can be replicated in Daniski. But I seem to be in a haste because the Emirate is already having a robust plan.
About 2-3 months ago, the Commission for Museums and Monuments came and they went up to this and they made a survey of the place. They did some excavations for historical purposes and archaeological purposes, and they found that this Daniski has the potential of being a World Heritage Site, and that in fact they have made a study and they're making a recommendation for it to be a national monument, which we're working towards it. It will cost a lot to, as you have seen the train, we don't know how to make it easy for tourists to come, but I think it has the potential, and we are even happy. We appreciate the fact that you took the time to go up, and coming down is a bit difficult. So we have the plan, and we're making efforts with the other organizations to see that we can make it a very attractive place for tourists, which I think is on the pipeline.